Hey, so for a while now I've been using these RAM mounts to hold action cameras on the dash of the Jeep, and I've been pretty happy with it, but I think there's a better solution, so let's see what we can knock up. The first thing we need to do is take these couple of screws out of this cover under the steering wheel. Then we're going to pull this off. Which just makes life a little bit easier. The next step is to take this grill off, and there's no elegant way of doing this. You just get it lifted up, try not to break it. Get rid of that. And there's two screws in here that we need to take out. And then we just need to rip this off. Just basically pull straight back from the top. And if you open the glove box, you can then grab from both sides at the bottom, and it just comes off. So here's the fascia off the Jeep. This is the one we're going to take off and swap it over with something that I think will work a lot better. So the plan is to make use of one of these things called a Nato Rail. I don't know the reason it's called a Nato Rail. I could probably look it up, but I found out about these things recently as they're used in photography circles for securing pieces of equipment together. And so this Nato Rail is sort of used in conjunction with a Nato clamp, and as the name suggests, this is a clamp, slides onto the rail, and you clamp that down, and the two pieces are fairly well bonded together. So the plan is to mount this Nato rail onto the top of the fascia. As you can see, this has had quite a few things attached to it in the past, so I think what we'll probably start with is trying to make this look a little bit nicer. I don't really have an easy way of doing that, but what I have got is an old piece of rubber from the old mud flap on the Jeep, so it seems to sort of fit quite nicely in this space. So what I might do is trim this rubber up and make a bit of a rubber platform in there, and the Nato rail can essentially attach to the top of that through the dash. But to start with, I need to make a bit of a template so I get this cut right, because I have got two of these. This is the one that I've already hacked at for some other reason. So I think if we make a template first and then see if we can fashion this up to fit in that space nicely, I think that'll go well, and it can sort of just sit there really, and the Nato rail is going to hold it down at the end of the day. So let's see how we go. So Nato rails generally come with these 1/4 screws, which screw into most popular camera gear, but they're just a bit short for our needs because we're going to have to go through this thick bit of rubber and also through the dash. So these screws luckily come out. Just at one end in particular, there's a extra gap to take them out, and so we're going to replace them with just something I found in the shed, some slightly longer screws and some washers and a nut on the bottom. So hopefully that'll give us enough distance through the rubber and also through the dash. So we can't really make use of any of the holes we've already got there. It's just not the right shape for this, so it's one of the main reasons we're going to put our little rubber insert in, and then we'll basically mount this here somewhere through the top. Let's give it a crack. First of all, we'll probably try and find the center, make sure this is in the middle, make sure there's enough of a gap between the edge of the Nato rail and the edge of the dash so that we can slot in our clamp. So let's work on that. Alright, so here's the end result. Let's see, the rubber's in there, the Nato rail's in place, bolted in with a washer and a split washer. There is a fair bit of friction to get this on, just due to the fact that this Nato rail is sort of sunk into the rubber, and then so there's a little bit of friction getting that on, but I don't have an issue with that. Obviously we can clamp that off now, and there it is, stuck on there, not going anywhere, hopefully. So let's go and put this back in the Jeep, and we'll see how it looks. So here we are back in the Jeep. So we'll just put this piece back on now. It's basically the opposite of what we did before, pushing it at the bottom first. And the top. And we can put the screws back in, which you don't need to watch. Alright, so the end result is we have our Nato rail in the dash now, instead of these gigantic ram knobs, and we can then choose to slide on our Nato clamp whenever we want it. Now, there is a bit of friction there, as I mentioned, but once it's on there we can lock it in place, and then we can use our Arca Swiss mounting bracket to clip any of our cameras up there, action camera or regular camera. And when we don't want to use it, we can easily unlatch it, slide it off, and then it's out of the way. Thanks for watching.